Lawmakers and their guests have started to arrive on Capitol Hill, including New York's own Mayor Eric Adams is there. Our Kevin Frey caught up with the mayor a short time ago and joins us now with the results. Good evening, Kevin.
Yeah, good evening, Errol. He is here as a guest of Congressman Adriano Espaillat. Each lawmaker gets a guest that they can invite. They sit up in the gallery. It's kind of part of a chance to kind of express an issue that they seem to be focused on or something they want to highlight about their own policy priorities. So the mayor is here. This is his first State of the Union that he'll be attending in person. So we caught up with both of them ahead of tonight's events. We'll start with you, Congressman. Why invite this guy?
The mayor has been a fighter for the city of New York, and we got to hear from the president. I think the president is doing a great job, but New York City still needs help. So the mayor is here. He asked, he wanted to come, and I extended the invitation. I think it's the right thing to do.
And what exactly do you want to hear from the president tonight in terms of New York City priorities, Mayor?
Well, really what the congressman has been saying over and over again, working class New Yorkers and working class Americans. And, really, we know that working class New Yorkers are the backbone of not only our city, but the entire country. And although we're seeing an impressive increase in employment among some Americans, Black and brown Americans are still really having an issue. And I want to hear how we're going to mobilize and energize that base so they can also pursue the American dream.
Well, I want to hear the steps forward. Unemployment is down and inflation, although stubborn, seems to be easing up a little bit. But we want to translate that into real gains for the neighborhoods that I represent. Harlem, East Harlem, Washington Heights, even in the Bronx. They got to have a piece of the pie, too. So I want to hear what's the strategy to make sure that happens.
Mr. Mayor, you have, over the last month and a half or so, really been amping up the pressure on the Biden administration to really provide assistance to help with the flow of migrants into the city. Are you satisfied with the response that you're getting so far?
What I am pleased with is how we have had a real healthy conversation. They identify the migrant issue as a real crisis. We need the Republican Party to have real comprehensive immigration reform. I was extremely pleased with the congressional delegation and Senator Schumer's, Congressman Jeffries, to have those dollars placed in the omnibus bill and get $8 million from FEMA. But we must address this in our conversations with the White House. Clearly, they understand how this is a major impact on New York City.
And just to kind of build off of that, you spent the other night with some of those asylum seekers in New York. What should members of Congress know about that situation?
Well, those of us who are elected, I may be the mayor of New York City, but I identify with those asylum seekers. As a child, we lived from home to home with relatives, and I wanted to go there on the coldest day of the year and let those asylum seekers know their pathway to pursue the American dream is all about pathway. Congress must know, and the president and on both sides of the aisle must know, these are our future leaders. These are our future owners of businesses. This is what America is made of, and we must make sure that we look at the destabilization in their countries, secure our borders appropriately, and have a real pathway to the American dream.
To both of you, are you confident that Republicans might work with Democrats to do some form of immigration reform? I mean, how likely do you realistically think that is?
If you look at it, the Republican Party has been a strong ally of the business community. And anywhere you go, you will hear business people, even small businesses or large businesses, they need workers. They really need workers. And for our economy to fully move forward, to get a shot in the arm, we need those workers, and they're here. They're called immigrants. In fact, all chapters of history where you've seen a major rebound for the economy, you've always had immigrant labor right in the middle of the mix. So I think that's the end. Farm workers, you hear the agricultural sector of America, they need farm workers. You hear, you go to a restaurant and you're slow to get your order, guess what? They need a worker. And so this is what we must do. We must embrace them. There must be some level of comprehensive immigration reform at some point, but we must make sure our economy continues to move forward.
And that's the win-win. I think the congressman stated it right. Oftentimes when we're communicating with people, we're communicating from a place where we are and not from a place where they are. If you're pro-business, This is an opportunity. Every corporation, every corporate leader that I sit down, they're stating, Mayor, we need workers. The workers are here, and they're well-trained workers. One of the gentlemen I spoke with while we were at the hurt, we learned that he was a writer, he was a journalist. They just came here to pursue the American dream, and we have real individuals who are first generation right here in this country now. They want to be part of this dream. We got a good product, and we cannot be upset with people that want to participate in the product we call the American dream.
But are you confident that something could get done?
I'm confident that it is possible to do so if we don't talk at each other and we talk with each other. There's a reason the flag has red, white, and blue. You can be on the red side and the blue side. Let's come together and make America what it is.
Of course, immigration has been a bit of the great white whale here on Capitol Hill, something lawmakers have tried repeatedly and have never actually been able to get really anything across the finish line when it comes to comprehensive reform. You often hear that phrase. Now, at the same time, tonight's speech also has another thing hanging over it, which is this question of what exactly is Biden going to do in 2024? We're getting into the presidential election cycle. Will he run for re-election? He certainly has toyed with it, but not necessarily addressed it directly. I asked Eric Adams if he believes that the president should be running for re-election in 2024. This could, of course, be somewhat of a soft launch tonight at the State of the Union. Adams told me that he is excited about the prospect of him doing so, saying that he is ready to do the job. Errol?
So when it comes to comprehensive reform, just as you say, they've been attempting that for decades now. It sounds though like what the mayor needs is something a little bit more immediate, which is money to help cover the costs of dealing with the migrants in the here and now.
Right, and I mean, that is something that we've seen from the mayor over the course of the last month and a half or so. Once we saw really more of these migrant buses and folks being dropped off within the 5 boroughs as they deal with that crisis, they need this support. And he has seen, as he indicated in the interview there, he seems to be seeing some movement and some understanding from the Biden administration. But in terms of that long-term goal, that is certainly more of the larger immigration reforms, which you're seeing Espaillat and Adams there trying to make that appeal across the aisle to Republicans, to business owners, arguing that's a reason you should be working with us on this.
Okay, and Kevin, what is security like there? I know in the wake of the January 6th attacks, they have a whole different philosophy about how to make that building secure.
Right. So, look, the State of the Union already is a very high security moment. Even before January 6th, you have all the principals here on Capitol Hill, members of the Supreme Court, obviously the executive branch, the military, not to mention all of Congress. So already was a high security event. Add in the effects of January 6th. We're now seeing a fencing surrounding all of Capitol Hill, which is just a physical manifestation of the security presence that we have not necessarily seen prior to the attack on the Capitol.
Okay, thanks very much.